Hey everyone, it's Emily, and today I'm going to be showing you my accepted college art portfolio as well as sharing my tips and tricks for the entire application process. I applied to 3 schools and was accepted into all with scholarships, so those were Pratt, MICA, and SCAD. I applied for illustration for all of them. For SCAD, I didn't actually end up submitting this portfolio, and that's just because I was already accepted for my grades, but I knew I didn't want to go, so I just didn't bother with it. So starting off, just a little bit about my grades because those definitely impact your admissions process and whether you're accepted or not. But I will say for art school specifically, grades really don't matter too much because at the end of the day they're looking for whether you're a good artist or not and if you have a voice and what it takes to make it an art school. So I graduated from high school with a 4.5 weighted. I'm not sure what my GPA was exactly, but it was definitely above a 4.0 weighted when I applied in my junior year. I also scored a 1320 on the SAT with a 700 in reading and a 620 in math. So some general advice about the entire college application process is start early. Junior year is rough. The beginning of senior year, I don't know, all these people, they were like, senior year is so easy. It was not easy for me. High school just kept going up in difficulty. I don't know, all these people that had like a breezy senior year. I did not. You want to start early. I wrote my college essays luckily in English class, and those were the only essays that I ended up using because I just did not have it in me to write an entire essay from scratch. Like, those were my base. You need to start early. You're gonna burn out. You might not burn out. I burnt out, but don't let that be a reason that you blow your admissions, you know? The essays are important. I know some people will say it's not, but I personally think they are. It's just a chance to show who you are and show that you're educated and can speak intelligently. So I would definitely recommend working on those. Another thing I did for the essays that I know really helped me is that I had my English teacher revise them. Another tip I would say is don't apply to too many schools. I see a lot of videos and it's like, I applied to 16 schools, but that's really not necessary in my opinion. And college application fees stack up, especially when you have to send your SAT scores and sometimes like your AP scores, things like that, you know. Slide room, $10, $15, $20 fee on that. Have like a safety school that you know you're going to get into, some attainable schools, a reach school. Another tip is to email your advisors and build a relationship with them before you apply. This will just give you a head up because you can ask them questions. They know who you are, and it just makes the entire application process easier. You can find them online most of the time, but I know a lot of the colleges actually let you have a free digital portfolio review if you just send them pictures of your work, and that'll really help you because they'll comment on it, tell you what they're looking for, what you need to improve on, and you can really shape up your portfolio before you submit it. Now for some general tips about your portfolio, I would say make sure your photos are high quality because a bad photo can make a great artwork just mediocre. For photos, I ended up borrowing like a ring light and a camera at school, but I also took some of the photos with the back camera on my iPhone. Worked out fine. Or in slide room, write a summary. That's your one chance to really explain and build a case for your artwork instead of someone just sitting there trying to interpret it. At the same time, don't make it flowery. Make it concise, to the point. Don't say what you don't need to. Another thing that's important is to organize your portfolio from strong to strongest. So basically you want to start with an impression, put some of your weaker pieces in the middle, still good, but weaker, and then leave with your strongest pieces. You want to create an impact in the beginning and leave with an impression. And my final tip and most important tip, as cliche as it is, you need to have fun with it. If you stress too much like me, you're gonna burn yourself out and that'll make things worse. Also, just don't stress too much because I know everyone on the internet shows like these glorious portfolios. Hopefully mine is more realistic because you don't need to be Van Gogh to get into art school, you know. You go to school to grow, not expected to go into school as someone that's an expert already. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I'll be looking at my portfolio off a slide room or my phone, so I apologize for that, but it's the best I can do right now. Also, by no means do I think my portfolio is my greatest, like, latest work. Yeah, honestly, junior year was rough, and this portfolio reflects that and has high highs and low lows, so just bear that in mind. So my first piece is entitled Who I Am. It's made with colored pencil, gouache, gel pen. It was made for my AP Studio portfolio, which was about what it means to be an Asian American. So the idea behind this one was basically how assimilating to a culture like American culture with blue jeans and Converse and stuff doesn't change who I am. So like instead of skin in the rips, I put cultural icons from Korea. I included this as my first piece because one, it's very detailed. I think it shows a lot of technical skill, but it also shows thought process behind it and how I have a story and who I am. My next piece is called Curiosity, and it was made with watercolor, colored pencil, and gel pen, and it's my friend's little sister. So basically this one I just wanted to portray childhood wonder. And I talk about all these things in this summary of Slide Room. I don't really think this is one of my strongest pieces, but it's one that was most special to me, and I think it definitely has a specific style to it and it has nice colors that I love, so I still decided to put it at my second. I think when you put pieces in there that you actually love and you put time and effort into, I think people receiving the image can tell. Next, I put a still life called What's in My Desk Drawer, and this is just pencil, and I literally made it the day it was due. I scrambled around the day it was due and did like 2 observational drawings, which I think, even though it's a very basic still life, since it's the contents of my desk drawer, I think it kind of shows some personality. It's not special, just technical skill. Don't know if this deserved to be my third picture, but whatever. My next piece is an acrylic painting, and it's of my friend Amanda, and it's one of those, you know, you see them everywhere. It's like you morph the face, add different faces, but basically I did this for my AP portfolio as well, and it was to show dynamic emotion of Asian women and to fight against the stereotype that Asian women are submissive and docile. I don't think it has that range. I think the faces could have been more expressive. My art teacher said it was one of my strongest pieces at the time. I really don't like this one that much. I think the composition is weird, but you know, put it in there anyway. This piece is called Shocking. It was also made for my AP portfolio. I don't know if I actually included it in it. I just really like the bright colors in this, and I think it really shows mood and just like an expression. And I used staples to create the sutures, I don't know what they're called, plastic surgery lines, because I decided it was going to be about plastic surgery trends in Asia and unrealistic beauty standards and like that. I don't know, that was kind of just like a Hail Mary at that point. So I also used gesso to create actual texture in the painting, which I think adds like a very nice detail to it. My next piece has multiple parts in it. So I have a business card, a clothing tag, a clothing label, like a sewn-in label, some stickers, as well as a design for a fashion show that I had to do my senior year for my fashions class. And I thought this just showed how I could do graphic design. I don't think it's great. It just showed range, so threw it in there too. My next piece is just a still life of nuts and bolts, and this was just done in my high school art class. I just think the shadows and the definition is really nice. I think the proportions are there, so that's why I put it in. It's not perfect because I made it in my sophomore year, but yeah, I think it's good. My next piece is basically on the same thing. It's an acrylic painting that I made my sophomore year. It's also a still life. I think it just shows I can do realism, which is good, but nothing special. My ninth picture is called Displaced. So it's this portrait I drew freshman year of this woman named Anna Mendieta. I don't know if that's how you say it. Anyway, she's this artist, famous artist, that she died some tragic way. I don't remember the full story. Anyway, that's who this is. I basically had drawn the portrait. I really liked the colors, but obviously I needed more, so I went into Photoshop and I sliced it all up and made it squiggly. So one thing I have to say about this one is I did use a reference photo that was published, and it is realism. So I didn't really change much about it for it to be, you know, considered my own personal work, and I would never claim that it is, but in a college portfolio, they can't copyright you, you know. If you use a reference photo, if you cite it, if you're being upfront about it, like, you're not gonna have any repercussions. It's not like the Scholastic Art Awards or anything. That said, I still wouldn't recommend doing it. This piece is called Burned Out, and it is a product of when I was burned out and hit you know? Basically, I did it because I was watching all these videos. I saw, ooh, block print, that's what I need to do. So I got a really cheap kit. It's not great. It's just a picture of me. I put some paper airplanes up in my head. I was like, this is how I feel burnt out from school. I don't know. I don't like it. I guess it looks kind of cool if you're into things looking bad. I don't know. I don't know if this did anything for me. I just included it because, you know, I was running out of options. So this one I called Floral and Feminine Set. So basically I did technical high school, so I studied fashions there. I made this set. It's a 2-piece set. It's made only out of pieces of fabric that were made in like a leaf shape. The whole like assignment was inspired by Japanese fashion, so I talked about that. So basically in my explanation I said that the Japanese fashion influence as well as the leaf shape inspired me to incorporate nature and femininity, so that's why I called it the Floral and Feminine Set. I still like this, no complaint. This piece is a direct observation piece. It's called My Back Door. I made it like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. the night before my portfolio was due. It's still a direct observation drawing. It's still like a technical drawing, but it is so highly stylized. It's like something kind of different. This next piece is called the Water Bottle Dress, and it is what it is. It's made completely from water bottles sliced up, and I also used packing tape and fishing line. So basically in my explanation I said that this was about consumerism and using like post-consumer products, obviously. I also talked specifically about how the fashion industry can become more environmentally conscious. This piece is called Like Me, and it's about superficial validation and how, you know, you can be on your phone and you can feel like you're receiving all this but you're still alone, which is sad. And I use my friend as a reference picture, and it's not like an indirect, it's just like I needed a reference picture. Sorry, Jansen. I like this one. It's kind of cliche, but I still think it looks good. My second to last piece is called Jesus Wept. This is what I consider to be one, if not my strongest piece. So basically the premise is, if God was looking down at the state of the world today and what people who use his name in vain and Christians and things like that, he would not be pleased. Jesus Wept is clever because it's a reference to the shortest verse in the Bible. I use actual pages from the Bible to create the kind of the beams coming out of his head. I used the medieval ring of holiness, circle of holy, I don't know what it's called, but they use the circle behind the head to indicate the Lord, basically. I used photos from World Magazine, which is like, I think it's a conservative political magazine. I basically created an earth. I think it shows like migrant workers rioting. There's a bunch of pictures. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. And then the tears are actually a verse. It is Mark 8:36. What good is it to gain the whole world but forfeit your soul? I just think my use of materials was chef's kiss on this one. My final piece is called Monopolization. It's a 3D sculpture, but this piece I actually had made my sophomore year for a recycling. There's something called like a junk sculpture contest that we have in my area. So obviously the play on words with monopolization, using monopoly money. This is also a place where I think I use materials really well. It's just basically about like the severely uneven balance of power, because we have like the rich represented by the high value money and the properties cards versus the chance cards and the low value money for the poor. Overall, I had 16 pieces for my Pratt portfolio, 15 pieces for my MICA portfolio. The only piece I didn't have for my MICA portfolio was the one called My Back Door, because I'd already submitted my MICA portfolio by the time I made that. So if you're someone like me who at this time last year was frantically scrounging the internet watching every portfolio video they could get their hands on, then my advice to you is just, you got it, you know? So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any questions or anything, then comment below and I'll answer. Bye!